My name is Shane, and I'm the head chef of our city's busiest restaurant. My job is to create the yummiest food for our citizens. When I'm in the kitchen, I use different things that help our food taste yummy and stay safe for our guests. Like my hat that keeps any hair from getting into the food, and gloves that keep germs away. I also carefully use tools like knives to cut up all sorts of tasty things. But there's an invisible armor that I wear every day, and it's more powerful than anything in my kitchen. It's called the armor of God. My sharp knives are very helpful in the kitchen, but I can't do anything without the sword of the Spirit from God's armor. The Bible is the sword of the Spirit, and it's the most powerful weapon I can use when I'm tempted to do the wrong thing. Knowing what God says in the Bible helps me be more like Him and do what's right. There's a verse from the Bible that helps me remember to hold up the sword of the Spirit and put on all of God's armor every day. Let me hear you say it after me. Put on all.
Put on all
Of God's
of God's
armor.
armor.
Ephesians 6:11.
Ephesians 6:11.
That's it. Here in the city, we sing a song to help us remember all the pieces of God's armor that we need to put on every day. Stand up and sing it now.
Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. First things first, got the belt of truth. Ayo, ayo. Put on my boots, gotta tell the good news. Ayo, ayo. The armor of God and the shield of faith. Got my sword and my helmet, now it's time to pray. Ayo, ayo. I put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. I put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. First things first, you got the belt of truth. Ayo, ayo. Put on my boots, I gotta tell the good news. Ayo, ayo. The armor of God and the shield of faith. Ayo, ayo. Got my sword and my helmet, now it's time to pray. Ayo, ayo. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Now in faith we can stand against every evil plan. Now it's time to be strong. He has won. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God.
You did a great job singing that song. Go ahead and take a seat. The sword of the Spirit is one of my favorite pieces of God's armor. The sword of the Spirit is God's Word, the Bible. Would you like to hear a story from the Bible?
Yes.
Great! Let's all get ready for the story by clicking on our listening ears. Click,
Click.
Now let's put on our special eyes.
Zoop, zoop.
Now you're ready. In the Bible, there's a true story about a time that Jesus, God's Son, used the sword of the Spirit. You see, Jesus went into the desert and stayed there 40 days and 40 nights. While he was there, he didn't eat any food, so he was hungry. Friends, let me see you rub your tummies like you're hungry. That's it. While Jesus was in the desert, his enemy, the devil, showed up. The devil tried to trick Jesus into doing a lot of wrong things. But Jesus held up the sword of the Spirit, God's Word, and it helped him tell the devil, no! Let's all cheer for Jesus holding up the sword of the Spirit. Woo! Great job! The devil took Jesus to a very high mountain so they could see all the cities below. The devil promised Jesus that all of this could be his if he would love and worship him instead of God. Jesus held up the sword of the Spirit to remember how God's word says that we should love and worship God and no one else. So Jesus told his enemy to go away. Let's all shout, "Go away! Go away!" Yes! Jesus was able to beat his enemy, the devil, by holding up the sword of the Spirit. Every time we put on God's armor, we have the power to be an everyday hero. When we know what God says in the Bible, we know what is right and true, and we can use it like a sword to beat the enemy. If you will hold up the sword of the Spirit, let me hear you say this after me. Hold up
Hold up
the sword of the Spirit.
the sword of the Spirit.
You've got it! When you put on all of God's armor and pray, you'll be strong enough to stand up to any evil that comes your way.
Every day, I will wear the full armor of God. I put on the belt of truth so I can fight the devil's lies. I put on the armor of godliness to protect my heart and do what's right. I put on the good news boots so I'll be ready to show God's love all day. I hold up the shield of faith to block anything the enemy sends my way. I put on the helmet of salvation so I'll remember God will always love me. I use the sword of the Spirit because God's word is my best weapon against the enemy. Now, I stand firm and pray.